going on, guys? My name's Hobbs, and welcome to HobbsTalks. I wanted to start out today with a question for you guys. What did you guys want to be when you grew up? I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I just recently turned 29, and now that I'm knocking on, the door to turning 30, I started assessing what I have and I haven't accomplished in my adult life. And to be completely honest, I didn't think I would live long enough to see 25, let alone live to see 30. When I was a kid, I was enthralled with music. I played trombone in band, violin in orchestra, and I even taught myself guitar in my spare time. I spent every summer till high school, I think, just going to different music camps. At many points throughout my childhood, I even joined bands and, played at local venues and stuff. I hadn't really had my heart set on becoming a rock star or anything, but I kind of toyed with the idea at least. Back then, I really wanted to, grow up to be a band director. I was inspired by so many of my teachers growing up that I wanted to kind of follow in their footsteps, I guess. I mean, music was my whole life. It just kind of made sense that I wanted to take my passion for music and make a career out of it. Once I got to high school, that passion grew even further and even evolved a little bit. I started doing theater productions, and I learned how to sing. Not that I'm any good at it or anything, but learning to sing kind of grew my passion for music even more. But another thing I ended up picking up in high school is I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And it all started when we would get together on Saturdays to play at the local Taco Bell at noon. And none of us were any good or anything, but it was a good time just hanging out with friends playing cards. And at a certain point, my theater friends ended up picking up Magic the Gathering, and I started playing that with them too. A card shop ended up opening at a certain point not far from my house, and I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! There pretty regularly, and started taking it a little bit more serious from a competitive standpoint. Started going to events and stuff. Senior year rolled around, and everybody's kind of talking about their plans for the future. I kind of already knew what I wanted to do, and I even knew where I wanted to go to college. I had a full ride lined up and, everything. I was still on the track. I wanted to become a band director. That was what I wanted to do. Unfortunately, some bad decisions caused me to lose that full ride, and I was kind of stuck figuring out a way to pay for college. So I ended up joining the Army. I enlisted in the Army National Guard. They said they were going to help pay for college. It was only 1 weekend a month. I could live my life kind of the way that I wanted to. Sounded great. So I, went to basic training, AIT. My priority shifted, and I kind of wanted to get as much out of the Army as I could. I really enjoyed the culture and everything that the Army had to offer, and that's kind of what I wanted to do. So once I got back from basic and AIT, I started college. I was on the music education track. I ended up changing that to a theater degree because I only need a degree, and doesn't matter. The Army just wants me to have a degree so I can do some more stuff, and that's kind of what I did. I ended up linking up with some people at the local card shop playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And, made friends with them too. So I just played Yu-Gi-Oh! All the time to the point where I ended up just being at my buddy's house every night for hours and hours and hours, play testing and all kinds of stuff like that, to the point where I stopped going to class. And I was okay with it, honestly. So I ended up dropping out, and then kind of, spent the rest of that semester just traveling to events and playing Yu-Gi-Oh! With my friends. All the money that the Army, of course, paid for me to go to college, they ended up taking back. So, there were some consequences to that. That once that semester ended, I moved back home. Linked up with some of my friends who were still playing. One of them ended up opening a card shop, so we had a place to play there. Got a job and started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Again. My weeks consisted of, going to work, and then when I got done with work, going to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And then the weekends I would go to events all over the country. I think I went to 8, 9 different states in that year, and that was, 2014? At a certain point, my passion for the Army kind of diminished as well. I didn't really, know what I wanted to do anymore. It was becoming more of a chore than, something I enjoyed. The one thing I did have was, card games. I was still able to play Yu-Gi-Oh! With my friends, and I was enjoying that, traveling the country, started backpack vending, made some money, doing stuff like that. And eventually, a friend of my mom's said that they were opening up a card shop about 45 minutes away from where I was living at the time. They didn't know what they were doing, and so I was like, hey, I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! For a long time. I kind of know what I'm doing. I've been backpack vending, making money, doing stuff like that, which is not too dissimilar from working at a store. let me come work for you. So I ended up working for him, and it was all right for a little bit, but they started making some decisions that kind of put me on the outs, and I kind of left. It's funny because I told them on my last day that if they continued making decisions the way that they were, that they'd have to close their doors in 5 years. Sure enough, 5 years later, almost to the day, they ended up closing their doors for good. Not necessarily a brag or anything, but it is funny that I said what was going to happen if they kept doing things, and it ended up happening. So yeah, I ended up moving back home. I linked up with some friends of mine who, played Yu-Gi-Oh. We went on an apartment together, went and got a job at Walmart, and just kind of went back to what I was doing the last time. Go to work, play Yu-Gi-Oh, travel to events, repeat. At this point, I kind of wanted to, open my own store. Yu-Gi-Oh had been a big part of my life, for the last several years at that point, and giving a place for people to go and make friends and, hang out, something I really wanted to do. Eventually, another job opportunity came about, and I, had good benefits. It paid well, but it was, in the same area where I went to college. So I ended up, packing up and leaving again, and moved back to where I had some friends from college and got a house there. Same old thing, go to work, play Yu-Gi-Oh, go to events, repeat. Still wanted to open that card shop though. After a little while, I decided to start making Yu-Gi-Oh content on YouTube. It was fun for a little bit, gained some traction, online, doing some of that stuff, and it was cool and everything. But then COVID hit, and it kind of put a damper on everything. I wasn't able to play Yu-Gi-Oh in person anymore, which was like my whole thing. Making Yu-Gi-Oh content was already hard as it was, and it just got harder and harder. So I wasn't able to play Yu-Gi-Oh. I wasn't able to really make Yu-Gi-Oh content. So I kind of shifted gears on what content I was making and starting to do more variety content. It was doing way worse than my Yu-Gi-Oh content, but it is what it is. And I fell in love with it. I kind of gotten the spark when I was doing Yu-Gi-Oh content, fell out of love with Yu-Gi-Oh content, and then fell back into it. I enjoyed making content, making somebody's day a little bit better. Like really, really was fun. I really enjoyed it. So much, in fact, that I started streaming, and that was, a lot of fun. It was a good time. Once everything kind of started opening back up, I got to start playing Yu-Gi-Oh again, and that was a good time. And some friends of mine who, in the Yu-Gi-Oh community, who I had talked to several times about opening a card store together, ended up opening a card shop. I find myself working at that card shop now, which back in the day was a dream of mine to open a shop. Now my dream is really kind of making content. Like doing content full time would be insanely awesome, because I enjoy the grind aspect. I enjoy the work that goes into it, and also like the reward of making somebody's day better. Like that's awesome. So now I'm making content and I'm working at a card shop that my friends own. I don't know how I got here, but it's really cool. So why did I just give you my whole life story? Because over the last 29 years, my dreams of what I wanted to be when I grew up has changed many times. So anybody watching or listening right now, just know that it's okay. It's okay that things change. Because as we grow older and change, so does the life we live. I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I'll probably never know. What I do know, though, is the things that I'm passionate about have been around this whole time, and they're going to continue to be there. Enjoy the things that you enjoy. Don't let the heavy burden of figuring out what you want to do with your life take away from the fact that it's okay to enjoy those things that you're passionate about. But anyway, thanks for listening to me ramble, guys, and I guess don't forget to subscribe, like the video, all that stuff. Appreciate you guys listening, and I'll see you guys next time.